Welcome to the REDHEADREVEAL podcast, where we reveal what it means to truly connect. I'm Jenn Pinkerton, your Redhead host. I'm a psychotherapist, high-performance coach, sexologist, writer, and speaker. As a connection expert, I help people transform by exploring the root causes and beliefs and behaviors that hold them back. Let's talk about living a life where you thrive. Welcome to season 2. We're back here at the REDHEADREVEAL podcast, and I decided I wanted to shake things up. Wanted to do things a little bit different this season. You know, the first season was all about having thought leaders and having people come on, which I still want to do some of that. But I find that the art of conversation, us being more conversational, me talking more about these topics that I work with and I specialize in, is really of a more benefit to everybody. And I find that that's what my viewers are asking for. So here I am. And we're going to be a little bit looser and a little bit more casual. And today I want to talk about something that is really important to me. And maybe some of you have gone to my retreats, and maybe we'll want to come to some of the upcoming retreats that we've got planned in store for 2025. But I talk about power in the pause. Now, some of you listeners might be like, I got it. I know what she's talking about. But for those of you who don't, I want to explain what it is. Power in the pause is this concept where we live in a very fast-paced world. We also have dysregulated bodies, and we get activated and triggered constantly. You're driving down the road and somebody pisses you off. You're in a discussion maybe with your partner and you go from 0 to 60 and you're furious. You're at work and your supervisor says something to you and you are, off the rails. These are moments of dysregulation. These are moments and when trauma responses have been activated in us and we are ready to fight, we're ready to flight, we're ready to freeze, or we're ready to fawn, or maybe all the above. So that idea is that if we can learn how to pause and learn how to slow everything down, we're more in control. We are more the true version of us, the authentic self that we all want to be, returning to the person we're born to be, which I talk about so often. And there's so much power in that. There is power in this idea of that I can control how I show up. I can control who I am, who I want to be, and I can control how I learn how to respond instead of react. So that's where we're going to go today. Are you in for it? So as we're talking in this concept of power in the pause, I want to get you to think about the sweet spot, that place between awareness meets action. And what that is becoming so self-aware, so truly connected with your body that you recognize you're going into one of those activated, dysregulated places. And you have the ability to take action with that awareness. That sweet spot is to say, hold on, I can feel this bubbling up. I can feel myself becoming reactive, and I'm going to slow down and take all my power back. So to give you an idea of where this personally fits for me, I'm going to give you a little insight into me. I want to be reactive. I want so much sometimes to absolutely lose my shit. We all do. But learning how to be able to slow things down for me in a moment of conflict, especially if I'm talking about with my spouse, because most of us romantically is where one of the highest forms of triggers exist. And being able to slow things down and think about what I want to say, to know that I am harnessing all the power I have in who I want to be, the version of myself I want to put out there, how I want to show up for my partner, and to be able to slow down and pause and then have my delivery be so different. So then my message can actually be heard. So you're probably immediately thinking, how do I do that? And one of the easiest ways is breathwork. And we've talked about this before, but learning how to pause, slow down, and take a deep breath. When we actually use our breath in this constructive way, we become so much more regulated. Think about it. Think about that involuntary cry or shudder you have after you've been crying. You know what that looks like? It's like a while later when you go, and you can't control it. That is your body resetting itself. But you don't have to wait for that to happen. You actually have the power, once again, to understand how your body works and choose to reset yourself independently. You can learn breath work options, different ways of breathing. There are so many, and we're going to link some of them in the show notes for you. But learning how to slow down and breathe and be mindful and have that self-aware component so that you can show up differently in that moment of being triggered or being activated. Another way to think about is to journal. If you're having a fight with someone, before you're going to launch that text, that paragraph after paragraph text, which we don't ever use text for paragraphs, by the way, take that moment to go write it down. Go journal about it. Go write how you feel. And then self-reflect on it in an hour. Look it back and see the next morning, do I still feel the same way that I felt then? Because just because we are an instant access world with the ability to text, to talk, to comment, to be connected immediately doesn't mean we should. Just because you can doesn't mean that's what you ought to be doing in these moments. Taking a time out, pausing, again, harnessing back that inner power that we're all born with, that we all have, will give you such a very different outcome. And then boundaries. I talk about boundaries being badass ad nauseum, and I mean it. It is so very important to recognize that you can set boundaries. If you're feeling yourself being triggered or activated, you can say to somebody no. No is a complete sentence. It's not no, I'm sorry. It's not no, but. It's just no. And then if you're not comfortable with that, you can also ease into it by saying, that doesn't work for me. Another great boundary statement is, let me think about that and get back to you. All those things give you the pause so that you can really think about how you feel about something, especially if you already know you're conflicted, especially if you're already dysregulated, and especially if you're already triggered and activated. And for those of you who don't know what I mean when I say activated, let me backtrack because I didn't really explain that. Activated is when basically we're going up to the upper part of our brain, the part of our brain that is not responsible for logical thought. It's kind of where the concept of calm down, settle down comes from, because we need to be in the lower part of our brain to be able to make decisions. And if we're activated, we're not in that place. We're in a place of where our emotions are controlling us instead of us being in control of our emotions. The other one would be in conflict. And I kind of mentioned that before with my own, personal disclosure about how I show up for my own spouse. But that to me is the biggest part of this. That's where you're going to have the most reckoning and the most transformation. When you can, in the heat of the moment, when you are furious, when you are feeling your blood pressure go up, when you're feeling you start to shake, I tend to clench my fist. If you feel it in your body and you can actually recognize, no, I'm going to pause. I'm going to slow down and I'm going to think about how I want to show up. That is when things really change. So I want to challenge you. The next time you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling as though you do not have a handle on things and you are not in control of your emotions. Also, even if there's a high, heavy emotional content, if you see you're about to go to tears right away, of course, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel, but we want to be in control of that. You don't want to automatically go in that place if it's not serving you. Let's say you're at work and something really hurts you and triggers you and you don't want to start crying in front of your boss. You want to be able to say, I need a moment to gather myself. Learning how to use breath work, learning how to have that self-talk where you're telling yourself, this is not how I want to show up. I want to pause. I want to take my power back and I want to be able to show up differently. That is really, really a key to consider. And everybody can do this. This is not some novel concept. This is not something that takes years of training to figure out. It's really as simple as I want to do this. And I'm going to combine my desire for doing it with the self-awareness in my body. Because you can't do one without the other. We can be as self-aware as we want, but if we don't make that decision that we're going to show up differently, it's not going to happen. We can also conversely make a decision to show up differently, but be so disconnected from our body that we're not able to see the cues. So let's go into the cues. There is a cue for all of us. Everybody has something that you're about to lose it. We all do. And you have to figure out what that is. For me, it's a clenched fist. For me, it's I feel hot and sometimes nauseous. Learn what your thing is. Take a moment the next time you're angry or upset to say, how does this feel in my body? And that somatic link, that link to be able to have that connection is going to be really telling for you. Because again, when we're so dysregulated and activated, we're up here and we're not able to really think about things. But you can stay connected to your body even when you're up here. It's just a practice that we have to learn how to perfect. Also, your senses are important. When we can slow down, we can be aware of how something smells, feels, tastes, what we hear. And sometimes that very act of saying, what do I see? What are 5 things over here? What are 4 things over here? What am I hearing? What am I smelling? What am I tasting? What is my body feeling? Do I feel the nubbiness of the sofa up against me? Do I taste the lemon from my water I just had? Can I hear road noise and some AC or the vibration of my voice? Can I see the camera, the chair, my shoes, my Stanley over here? Being aware and slowing down with your senses forces your body in a present moment. And so think about using your senses the next time you're feeling really triggered. Think about that breath work. Think about writing it down. Think about setting a boundary. So as I'm saying all this, I don't want you to be overwhelmed. Think about just one thing. Pick one. Pick one thing. For me, it might even be tapping. And tapping I didn't touch on, but wow, this one for me is personally transformative. And my kids know if they see mom start tapping, she's having a moment. I like to tap along my orbital bone. I like to tap right in here with both hands, and I can't do it with the mic in my hand, but at the same time. And that tapping, just the act of this stimulation, usually bilaterally on two different sides of your body, alternating that, gets your body into a place of recognition of we are slowing down. We are having a connection, Using that with breathwork, tapping. Also, I really want to put down this mic if I can, just to show you what this looks like. I won't talk. I'm just going to illustrate what this butterfly hug looks like. So hang on. If you can do this, for those of you on YouTube, and you tap like this, that slow tap with your heartbeat. And here's the orbital bone for me, tap on either side. Or if you're uncomfortable with that, especially if you're in public, alternating this tap. Now on your legs. So I hope y'all could hear that for a moment when the mic was down, but I felt like it's so important to really show you what that looks like. And again, we'll have information in the show notes for you to really understand more. But all these things are just designed to give you that pause, and we have to connect with our body to be able to do it. But I really want to explain what this looks like. You're going to have somebody who goes from screaming, yelling, crying uncontrollably, saying things they shouldn't say that they don't mean, really being completely dysregulated, to somebody who can say, you know what, I'm upset and I'm going to take a minute to calm down. Somebody who can say, I feel that this conversation is not going in a good way for me. I need to think about that. Someone who's going to be able to recognize that their message now is not going to get lost in their delivery. They can actually tell their partner, you know what, I don't believe that you're hearing me. I want to express to you something different. I want us to slow down and have this conversation in a different way, rather than doing the things we do, where we kind of lose it, where we might attack, where we might regret how we just showed up. So this is really effective, and you can have such a massive shift and a massive change, and even who you are, who you think about how you are. I know that I can now think of myself as a very regulated person. My own friends, my own family, my own spouse know that I show up differently now than I used to. Now, this does not mean that I don't have a moment. I had a moment a few years ago. My friends know about this moment because it was a big thing for me, because some people are like, what is happening? Because Jenn doesn't do that. I'm human, and I needed to really work on that. But I know now confidently it happens pretty rarely, and I feel so much prouder about who I am and so much more self-assured about who I am. And I know that I can handle things in a different way. And if I do start to lose it, I know that I missed the cue. I was not paying attention to my body. And guess what? I have plenty of other opportunities to try it again, because we're human and we're all going to be frustrated by things. We're all going to be irritated by things. We're all going to be hurt by things. And when we are hurt, that is the hardest time to do this. It's challenging, and it does take practice, and it's not something that you're going to immediately get. But if you start chipping it away at the concepts, you start really applying some of these things, it's going to feel very different. Okay, so part of this new season 2 idea was using what we're calling Ask Jenn. Because if you guys knew the enormous amount of people that send messages to my socials about things that I post or questions, and this is going to be the time I'm going to answer them. This is the chance where I want to be able to give some accurate feedback to people who have some questions about these topics, and see if I can really provide some great benefit there. So get ready. I'm going to get comfortable here. I'm going to scoot back. I'm going to get all ready for this because I've got Ash here and she's going to throw me a question, something that somebody has written in and asked, and I'm going to do my best to see if I can give you some clarity. So Ash, hit me.
Okay. I struggle with reacting impulsively in arguments with my partner. How can I practice pausing when emotions run high?
That is probably the hardest time. Let's just be honest, because when we're with our partner, we have the emotional connection. We usually have loving feelings toward this person. And so it's natural that in a moment of conflict, we are going to make it about the story in our head. We're going to make it about all the other bigger things that are going on, about how we feel about ourselves, how our partner feels about us, and all these perceptions that we have, which might not even be reality. And we're bringing in all of our unresolved wounds and our core wounds into the situation. So that being said, it's heavy. But this is the place that you will feel the biggest change in your life by learning how to recognize in your body and slow down. So if your partner is saying something and you're ready to lash out, don't do it. Pause. It is okay to say to your partner, I need just a second, please, because I don't like where I'm going. Or, hey, can we please have a break? Because I don't want to be in this kind of conflict with you. Or, honey, I love you, but I'm feeling really dysregulated. Can I have a second? And if you do that, you're getting some distance and some space. You can actually have a physical change. You can walk away over here for a minute. You can go get a glass of water. You can take some deep breaths. Maybe you even say, you know what? I really want to go outside for a second and ground yourself in that way. You can tap into your senses. You can start tapping. You can do all these things, which again, I'm going to have a full list of takeaways in our show notes for you. But you immediately communicate with your partner, you need a second. Now, I think when you get so good at this, you may not even have to communicate. You can just learn how to quickly regulate yourself and calmly be able to provide the answer in that conversation or that dialogue. But until then, or even always, if you prefer it, say, hey, I need just a second. You know, you are so important to me. What we're talking about is valuable. I want to hear what you have to say. I care about you. I want to hear you. But right now, this is really hard for me, and I'm activated or I'm dysregulated or I don't like what's coming out of my mouth. I need just a moment. And oftentimes, you might have a partner that really respects that really feels as though, wow, you're showing up so differently. Or you might have a partner that gets really mad. You might have a partner that says, wait a minute, what are you talking about? We're right here arguing. What are you doing? Because they're so dysregulated, they can't recognize that. And if that's the case, do your best to slowly integrate this. Take a deep breath. Slow down when you respond. Try to be really connected with your body. And it just takes some time and some practice. But I'm here for you if you need some help. Next question, Ash.
I always feel pressured to respond immediately to text and emails. How do I break that habit?
Again, like I said earlier, just because we're an instant access society and world does not mean that you have to be instant access. So you can slow down. You can see that message and you can set your phone down and walk away for a moment. You can actually go get a drink of water. You can take a moment to reset. You can tap. You can breathe. You can get into your senses. You can shake. You can hum. All these things that regulate your body and down-regulate your nervous system to a place where you are calm. Because all these things that we're talking about is nervous system work, basically. But I'm trying to present it in a way that is easy and palatable to understand. So when you get that text, pause. Remember, I want to be in all my power. I am not going to give it all away, serve it up on a platter to somebody else in a dysregulated, basically shitty, activated way. I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to take a moment. Now, if you have a partner, though, that says, why are you not answering me? Why'd you take 20 minutes? I'm sitting here with bubbles and I'm watching and you're not answering. Again, odds are your partner is really dysregulated and activated and triggered too. So explain it. Hey, I just need a second. I'm sorry, honey, it took me a moment to respond, but I needed a minute. I really wanted to think about what I wanted to say because you matter to me. And what we're talking about is important, and I don't want to make it worse, and I don't want my message to get lost in my delivery. What else, Ash? What you got?
I tend to say yes to things before thinking them through and then regret it later. How can I set better boundaries?
Guilty. Guilty as charged. I'm lucky. I have a lot of people in my life that I love and love me, and I am the queen of overcommitting. I am that person that someone says, do you want to do it? I say, yeah, I'm here for it. That sounds fun. And then later I'm like, I'm tired. I'm burnt out from my job. My job can be hard. It's heavy. I love it, but it's still heavy. I'm tired. I didn't get enough rest. I have too many things on my plate. I'm still trying to finish my PhD. I've got too much. But I will say yes over and over again. Learning how to say no is so important, and power in the pause is one of the things that will help you get there. Pausing before you say yes, taking a moment and recognizing, I want to harness my power to know that I want to be the best version of me. And if I'm overcommitting, I'm not going to be happy. I might cancel. I'm not going to show up my best self. So let me pause and slow things down to really think about, how is this event or activity or thing I'm going to do going to serve me? Is it going to make me feel good? What is the energy going to be when I'm there? Am I going to be with people that I feel like contribute to who I want to be? Am I going to be with people who champion me? Am I going to be with people that love me? Or is it something that I'm not going to get anything out of? Is it something that isn't going to serve me in any way? Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes we have to do things that don't serve us for other people, and that's okay. There's things I've had to go to that I don't want to go to, but it meant so much to that person. I want to do it for them. That's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about things, where we just say yes to. Before you say yes, slow down. Just pause. Take your power back and decide if that's something you want to do. You can also go back to that instant access concept and say, hey, I need a minute. I'm going to have to get back to you. Is it okay if I'll let you know by tomorrow morning? To give yourself that time to think about it. And I do that often. Part of it's pragmatic, just to look at my schedule to see if it works. And part of it is to say, is this something I really want to do? Also, I'll challenge that sometimes you can turn the tables back to say, you know what? That's not really my cup of tea. For instance, one of my besties recently invited me to something. I was like, I don't really want to go. Could I just have a date with you? Can we go have dinner or a drink? Or, hey, you want to come over and just, be on the sofa with me and hang out? Because I wanted to spend time with them, but I didn't really want to do that activity. And so we're doing that. And that feels a lot better to me. And that allows me to show up to the person I want to be, as the person I want to be. So I hope that answers your questions. And I hope y'all like this concept. I hope you enjoy the Ask Jen, and keep it coming, because I want to answer anything that you want to hit me with. And Ash is loving being able to deliver these. I think she really liked that last one because she knew it hit so close to home for me. But anyway, thank you guys for being here for season 2. I think it's going to be a really fun ride. Today, we learned how to slow down. We learned how to use what I call power in the pause. We learned how to, instead of being reactive, we're going to be responsive. We learned how to be intentional. And that is going to show up in so many ways for you in your life. It is going to feel damn good. We talked about Ask Jen and what's that going to look like, and how we're going to have that segment at the end of all these little podcasts when it's one-on-one with me. I'll still have guests. I'm still going to do that. Don't worry. I have a lot of exciting people I want to bring you. But when it's just me talking, I want to do a little differently. I think we all should change and shift and, shake things up a bit. So I also want to say that if this resonated with you, please leave me a review. It helps me a lot with this podcast, and I want to continue to grow and see what else I can do. So the more that you're able to do that, and this is my call to action for you to help me get there, I'd really appreciate it. So as always, best and rest.